Hey everyone, welcome to the Costume Jewelry Chronicles with Lynn and Carrie. Each episode we will feature a new vintage costume jewelry designer and talk a little bit about jewelry reselling. We hope you enjoy. Welcome everyone to the Jewelry Cult. Tuesday, April 1st, April Fool's Day. We're talking Monet jewelry today, and we're talking from the 1940s to the 1980s because it's a pretty complex subject. So I had to narrow it down. I love Monet. Monet and Trifari are probably the two most popular 50s and 60s time frames. So I tried to narrow this down for you to make it easier, but it's still fairly a long one. So Michael and Joseph Chernow, they are known as M and J, started the company Craft, and it was an initial business which he attributes to his mother, who always fed him alphabet soup when they were young, and they had offices in New York and Providence. Family was very important to these two, and at Christmas they would fill a box for every female in the family full of their newest creations of Monet jewelry. And they were also generous to their employees as they continued paying the men who enlisted in the war their weekly salaries until they returned. Not many records were left behind from jewelry manufacturers of the 20s and 30s, so there are many misconceptions, but it is possible, based on a magazine article, that they started their initial business in 1927. So back in the 20s, it was popular for people to put their initials hand painted on their car doors. So Michael and Jay took it a step further and created these monogram plaques, as you see here, to stick to the side car doors. They would put the husband's initials on the driver's side and the wife's initials on the passenger side. Then they began to monogram handbags and became the largest and best monogram company in the country. Monocraft continued until 1959 and withstood the test of time along with their jewelry, which started in 1937. But they did have struggles under the Crystal Brands Group in the late 80s and 90s. And many of the salespeople in that time frame in the 60s and 70s earned six-figure incomes. So you can tell how well the company was doing by that high income. Monet was consistent bestseller season after season. But after the death of Mr. J in 1966, Mr. M tried to find a way to preserve his company and provide for the employees and found a partnership in General Mills in 1968. You ask, General Mills, what? That has nothing to do with jewelry. But they had the same principles that Monet ensued, and they were looking to expand their breakfast cereal biz and diversify their investments into other areas like clothing, toys, restaurants, and apparel. In 1969, General Mills had their highest ranking year in 41 years. They launched many new products and new fashion lines, and in the early 1970s, they introduced pierced earrings, and then General Mills used Monet to introduce the first line of fine jewelry, which was called Siani in 1977. And then in 1980s, several other lines were introduced, like the Collection Concepts of 1981, Directives of 1984, Gold Mine of 1980, and Evoke, which was surgical steel post earrings. They also acquired Yves Saint Laurent license for costume jewelry. After changing hands many times and after many management changes in the 90s, the company was facing huge losses and declared bankruptcy in 1994. As you can see here, how many times it changed in that time frame. And they actually acquired in that time Trifari and Marvella from Hallmark. But then they were all three, Monet, Trifari, and Marvella, were sold off to the CBJG acquisition group and then renamed the Monet Group. They tried again and it failed, and they went bankrupt and sold off to Liz Claiborne in 2000. You'll still see pieces labeled Monet that are made today. And they were known for high quality craftsmanship, gold plated finishes, and designer collaborations. So let's break Monet down into decades. And we're going to start with the 40s, which was post war time. And they used gold plated designs coming out of the wartime with the metal restrictions. They introduced charm bracelets in the late 40s, which was a major trend among women. And it featured large single charms like hearts, lockets, perfume bottles, and animals. They also included letters to personalize a bracelet. And it represented sentimentality and personal storytelling. They used floral motifs, intricate metalwork, and engraved designs. And then we hit the 50s. The 50s was inspired by fine jewelry, especially faux pearls and rhinestones. And they introduced this pearl and rhinestone collection, and Monet was known to be worn by celebrities, making the costume jewelry more desirable. It mimicked high-end jewelry, making it accessible to a broader audience, and they used heavy gold plating, open work, and unique textured metal designs. You'll see a lot of the white enamel designs during this time. And it's what started becoming popular was these slider bracelets and necklaces and chunky choker necklaces in gold tone and white. You'll see a lot of the charm bracelets in the 60s, and this continued to be popular, but now you can get them with a little spring ring on them. As you can see close here, they all have spring rings, so you can interchange them out a lot easier and play around with your bracelet each day. They ranged in price from $2 to $8 a piece back then. And this line continued until the 1990s. They shift from classic to bold, geometric, and modernist styles. The 60s was inspired by mid-century modern art movement. This reminds me of Catherine. Catherine, you like these paintings? It was popular with brushed gold tone metals, enameled surfaces, and abstract forms. Here's the difference between, here's some of the designs from that time. And then I wanted to show you the difference between the Cordelia and the Mirador, which a lot of people tend to get mixed up on their listings. They are two separate collections. The 60s lines included hinged bangles, sculptural earrings, and geometric brooches, sleek minimalist jewelry emphasizing clean lines and structure. And then we have the different collections that were popular, like the Bolero collection, which was from 1961, and it showcased Spanish culture, incorporating elements like tassels and bold geometric shapes. They were very vibrant and dynamic pieces, capturing the essence of the Spanish dance and attire. I looked these up now, and when I find these, I pick them up immediately because they sell for $50 to $100, depending on condition and, if you have the bracelet and the necklace or the necklace and earrings, that type of thing. Demita, this one is so simple, but yet it is so popular, and it sells right now for anywhere from $50 to $100, give or take. The Pamela is another slider style bracelet necklace, and it sells right now between $30 and $60. But these three, the Bolero, Pamela, and Demita, were the three biggest sellers of the 1960s. Bohemia is another collection from 1966, and it introduced this faux lariat necklace. And this design mimics the style of a lariat, but without the functional loop. The Bohemia series reflects free-spirited and unconventional fashion trends of the 60s, making it a favorite among jewelry enthusiasts. And the Scheherazade from 1966 was inspired by Middle Eastern aesthetics, and it had intricate designs with an ornate detailing reflecting the opulence associated with the tales of 1001 Nights, the movie. This collection is a highly sought after collection, and has unique and elaborate pieces. Then we hit the 70s, which used oversized, chunky jewelry and collar necklaces and hinged bracelets, hinged cuffs. Monet introduced textured and mixed metal finishes. And it was also inspired by Studio 54, and high fashion trends. Studio 54 was a high-class disco nightclub, if you didn't know that, in the 70s. I think in downtown New York. And then the jewelry was frequently worn with high neck blouses and disco style outfits. One collection from the 70s included the Aries collection, and it was notable for its bold designs, including the iconic ram's head necklace. These pieces are characterized by asymmetrical multi-strand designs and sculptural elements and daring designs. Then we reached the 80s. In 1981, Monet collaborated with Yves Saint Laurent, bringing high-end European influence, which lasted until 1989, featuring chunky gold tone chains, statement earrings, and enamel work. They had bright enamel, bold colors, and luxurious cabochon settings defined this period. Runway-style jewelry was introduced in the Directives collection of 1984, and many of Monet's 1980s designs also resembled the Art Deco style and shapes, but with a chunky design like these hand-poured high-density plastic pieces. Another design from the 80s was the All That Jazz collection, and it was an Art Deco-inspired revival with abstract and theatrical designs. They used dull rose gold, aquamarine, and rhodium, and also used aurora borealis sheeting to accent pieces in this collection. It gives that stained glass effect. And I just wanted to cover some of the markings that they use. So back in the 40s, you'll see hang tags like this. In the 50s, you'll see hang tags on this order. And then the 60s through the 80s, they used a little bit more modern looking one. This was one of their ads from the 30s and 40s, and this is what the tag looked like on the jewelry. Here's another ad you'll see a lot of, and you'll see a lot of this type of hang tag. And you'll see Monet with small letters and large letters intermixed. Sometimes it's on one side of the tag, sometimes it's on both sides of the tag. It's pretty common to be mixed all throughout the time frame Monet existed. And then this necklace, I tend to see this type of an extender chain on necklaces, like pretty popular with Monet. In their class, the fold-over class on the left here are 3 different types that they used, but they use many different types. This one actually has a double fold-over clasp, so I guess you could shorten it if you wanted to. This one has a little push lock in the center, and it kind of looks like a barrel clasp, but it's just a push lock thing. And then there's a hook, and they tend to use this heavier duty, thicker, higher quality hook, and it usually says Monet, and it's usually really small on the side here. Here's another lobster claw clasp that I found unusual. I have never seen this one, but I thought I'd throw it in because it is a very unique clasp for Monet. They usually use their signature clasp, which they patented, and that looks like this one on the bottom here. And this is the book that I got all my information from. It is a fabulous book. I would highly recommend it. It does cost about $50, $60, but it is a great book. And there's so much more information in it that I didn't include. Um, Monet, I wanted to throw in a couple extras. Like Monet did some gold plating and sterling pieces. So don't be surprised if you see them. And they seem to mark many of their pieces. There is a possibility that a hang tag could have fallen off at some point, but they tend to mark it in multiple places on their jewelry. And they produced several notable collections that I did not include in this video, but I tried to pull out some of the ones that I think we could find out there. And oh, I wanted to point out these earrings that she's wearing on the cover of this. These are the earrings I just sold like a month ago. Here's my listing, sold for $99.99.
Wow.
I just found it funny that when I found the book, that's the earrings she was wearing. So that is it. That is Monet.
Good job, Lynn. Thank you so much. Did you have a question about the Monet, Nicole, or did you have something for right after?
No, I got my Monet questions ready.
All right. Well, you go right ahead. Sorry, Lynn. I was trying to jump in on you.
Nope, you're fine.
So I apologize if you mentioned this. I was jotting notes. So was every single Monet piece always signed
Yeah,
in several
I
places?
I said that they are almost always signed. If they're not signed, it's very unusual. And there is a possibility that a hang tag could have fallen off,
That part. Okay.
but they mark them in multiple places a lot of times, so you can usually see it.
Okay. And second question, 1961, the Bolero collection. What is the difference between a Bolero and a Lariat?
Bolero is just the collection name. Lariat is the style. It's the chain that hangs open, and then you
Right.
can loop it and make a knot. You can put it tighter on your neck.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of Bolo. That's totally different.
Yeah,
That's a slider thing, right?
yes.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you. Great
Hmm.
presentation. Fabulous.
Thanks. Catherine?
Hello. I love Monet. So I have a couple questions about Monet. I recently acquired this piece, which is like that hook came off. Let's see if I can get this right.
Ooh,
Yeah, so it's the kind of
nice.
80s Monet. And when I look for it online, it says when other people have sold it, and I think it sells for like $200-300, then people are using YSL in the description, but I have yet to find, but they all say Monet on the back. Even the ones that have sold for high prices, because I also got this bracelet, which kind of goes with it. I don't think it was meant to go with it, but it's got the enameling, it's got the Monet on the clasp, and it has Monet on the back of the cabochon. And when you look, I'm just going to share my screen really quick.
I have those actually in my presentation, Catherine, too.
Okay, so like this one it says vintage YSL for Monet, sold for $99, but when you go to the listing, it just says Monet on the tag. It doesn't say YSL. And same with some of these, it'll say Monet on the tag, but not YSL. Here's one that's kind of similar to the one that I got, sold for $535. So can you use YSL in the description if it just
I
says
think
Monet on the
so. I think if you especially if you can verify it in the book, if you see it in the book, obviously it's good, but it says that Yves Saint Laurent designed a limited number of pieces for Monet, and they were all signed Monet.
So I think the ones for Monroe YSL were signed YSL, the ones I found. What do you see
So
in Meg?
this-
Are you looking?
Because I've seen
Yeah, go
some,
to page 256 and 257. It's Monet that was given license to make YSL, and the YSL ones are signed YSL on the book.
Yeah, I think
A
so
lot of people are
too.
just they just say like a lot of people, if you look at their listings too, they'll put YSL era. Okay, no, it's just like the 80s. Like you're just keyword spamming. I don't think
Yep.
you should put YSL unless it's YSL's there, especially because it's still a company and it's a designer company, so they might zero
It's
you.
like that one you showed, Catherine. It says it has a YSL on the link on the necklace. Not yours, the one that you showed online. It's
oh,
the actual one. It says YSL on it. Because I
okay.
looked at that when I was getting my stuff ready. So
Because
people,
I think I think a lot of them are selling for high prices because people are using YSL in the
Yeah,
description that it's
incorrectly,
Monet
yeah.
to YSL.
well,
But
they're saying era. They're saying YSL era, which just means 80s. But the actual collaboration in the book says they're signed YSL.
because I see some that say like vintage YSL for Monet.
Yeah, they're
And
wrong.
the
But yeah,
tag
They're
is
wrong.
Monet.
I agree. They're wrong.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're just
And another one says signed Monet for YSL, but then it would be
from what
signed
I
YSL,
understood, the
right?
ones that were for it were signed YSL, and that one that you showed was. It's on the little link.
I have
It's
to
on
grab
the
my
chain
book.
link.
Okay. So I'm hesitant to use the YSL in the description,
I think yours is part of the stained glass collection.
this one. And the bracelet from the 80s.
I don't know about the bracelet right off the top of my head, but I think it
Catherine,
is
is that
80.
bracelet broken?
No.
Or not the bracelet, the necklace, I mean.
Oh, it just has a jump ring that's loose. So I just have to reconnect.
Oh, and you have the piece?
Yeah, I just have
Oh.
to reconnect that.
Cool.
Well, I found the exact sentence. Many designs were produced in a limited edition, numbered and signed with the Yves Saint Laurent signature in script.
Now, I just read the complete opposite online. So never, never follow what you find online.
Book is probably, I would say, probably the
Okay.
So any ideas what I should price the necklace or the bracelet if it's not
So that one didn't strike me as that anyway, the YSL. The necklace, I see where you're coming from. The bracelet, I think, is just an 80s Monet bracelet, but I would comp accordingly to just the cabochon Monet bracelet. But the necklace, I think I actually have that exact necklace in my presentation, but I included a bunch of those high dollar ones because I think they're wrong. I think they're wrong. There's one of them that there's a couple of them that said YSL on them, and I think it's right, but I looked that up too, exactly with what Meg said, and in the book it said that they're signed.
so what
But
would you price
the,
the necklace at?
whatever whatever a similar one sold for, I think it's part of the stained glass ones, I think.
Okay.
But online, Lynn's totally right. You can put that stuff in, and like let's say Chat GPT, even it skims the stuff, it's gonna pick up what people are doing wrong.
Right.
Yeah, so a lot of times I'll ask ChatGPT, where did you get that answer from? And then we'll go from there. And I'll be like, no, stop looking at actives or stop looking at random websites.
Because I don't have the Monet book, so I was looking all over to see if like Monet signed it, if YSL signed it, if they both signed it.
That exactly what she's showing is what I've seen on them.
Yeah.
right here it's signed.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
and this one too.
Yeah, and I did see one that like it was intertwined with the chain, but it was the exact same signature. So same
So I
thing.
wonder if they signed the hook Monet.
Not in the ones I saw. The ones I saw just had exactly what you showed.
Okay.
Yep. So I think that's what you just showed is good information. But I do think there's a lot of bad information out there, which just exactly like what Catherine saw. So I included some of those because I'm like, I don't think they really were. I think the ones they're showing are similar, like what Catherine's showing. They're just 80s. They're just 80s Monet, So do I think they're getting the good money because of that? But how do we know they didn't come back on an INAD either?
Yeah,
How
like
do
I
we
said,
know?
YSL is still a company, and I wouldn't risk that. I'm not going to go put a design, especially a high designer, on like incorrectly.
Yeah, YSL isn't like old and gone or anything.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I don't know how they're getting away with that because everything I've seen, if it's signed Monet, it's just Monet.
Like that one iconic, and I didn't include it, so that's my fault, but that one iconic YSL Monet brooch. There's one that's the flower pot that's got the flowers in it. I see it knocked off all the time. And the true one has a YSL logo on it. So I would agree with that. Go ahead, Lynn. You want to call on people, and you're the Monet chick, not me. I just looked up values. I would never known that if I
Larry,
wouldn't
you
have
have a
really.
Yeah,
question?
I have just a observation or a question. I've got some Monet up for sale. I probably have about 10 pieces or so. And I've noticed that a lot of it just doesn't sell. And it doesn't sell even at 10, 15 bucks. I take it there's a widespread in the different class of jewelry that they made. Is that your observation as well?
Are you referring to Monet?
Yes.
Yeah, of course, with every brand, there's going to be good pieces and low pieces. Some of the Monets, I will, like earrings, I'll throw 3 earrings together and sell it. Sells faster.
For 20 bucks or 30?
Probably about 20, 22, somewhere around
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would agree.
and gold chains I haven't been able to move at all. You know, the simple chains that, or maybe they're an elaborate link, but it's just a plain gold chain. And I mean, I've
Are they the
always
rope
um
chains are just thinner?
it's the thinner ones with either a serpentine kind of look or some
Yeah.
exotic chain link.
I have luck selling the rope chains, and especially the chunkier they are, the better.
That's what I was
Faster
going to say. They're really chunky
The
necklaces
thin
and
ones,
bracelets.
the thin ones, I actually keep in a little box beside me, and I use them for pendants because they don't
Yep.
sell.
I do this.
I do that too.
So
Yeah.
for those big chunky ones, is there a magic to the way to describe them? Because I think they're beautiful.
Absolutely. In my opinion, with Monet, there is. I'm not a huge keyword girl. They all know me on that. I'm very simple and plain. Monet, I believe, is one. It's just like Sarah Coventry, right? I sold like a whole ton of Sarah Coventry the other day. But if you can date it and say the collection, it's the same way with Monet. People search for the collection and like the
Okay.
collections that Lynn was talking about, stuff like that. Like people search by that, and they do. In my opinion, the Monet, you got to word it correctly to get the higher dollar sometimes.
Does that go for those earrings too? Those enamel, I love those enamel like 80s earrings, but nobody's buying them from me.
Yeah, they're not as popular. I lot a bunch of the enamel earrings together, and I might throw some Monet in with it, and then I can put Monet in the title.
Okay.
But I don't hardly sell them individually either.
Hard. I don't either. Let me share. Nicole, did you have your hand up from before? Do you have another question? Sorry. Oh,
Yeah, quickly. Sorry, no, it's a different question. So in 1970, they introduced pierced earrings. Going back to the slide where you showed those Pamela earrings, Lynn, were those pierced or clip-on?
Let me look.
If they're pierced, I have the same ones and they're not signed. So I guess they're knockoffs. I don't know.
Monet got knocked off a lot.
It's
the
hard
Pamela
to see. Let me look it up in the book and I'll get back to you on that.
Or they could have been converted too, and maybe the signature was on the clip.
I'm going to show you the earrings to jog your memory, but
Yeah, I have the front image of it, but it doesn't show me the side.
yeah, mine's
I'll have to look at the description.
and they're not signed at all.
There was a lot of earrings that looked just like that in the 80s.
Really?
Oh yeah, there's tons of tassel earrings. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll sell just because they're tassels, though. Not for a time, if
Yep.
you can't see Monet, but tassels sell.
Look just like the Pamela earrings, though.
Yeah, if you think about it, any jewelry company that had any kind of success, there's 100 companies that try to copy it. It's just part of the deal. And for anybody that had it, like Catherine wasn't here before, but you can buy Monet on Temu now, which is kind of a problem because when you get it and it's signed Monet, until you order it and hold it in your hand and you have experience with it, you don't realize that you've got the Temu version. But I got a whole lot of it once, and it was like the rivets are off, it's really lightweight, but it's hard because they're knocking it off. Well, that's not knocking it off. That's like copying it, and I don't know if they have the license now. I don't know. I have no idea where it comes from, but it's great. Just so you know. And in
I
my
doubt they have the license.
somebody wants to, apparently. I don't really know, but when you see Monet written in the cursive, that's always like it's the newer stuff, and it's just not made well anymore, in my opinion. It still sells, but
And
I don't
wouldn't
like
they be violating patent laws, or do the patents run out?
I don't know, because
Well,
they're
if they
signed
didn't
Monet.
re-sign them.
Yep. But you can buy the Napier stamp on eBay. Make your own Napier, and you can buy it on eBay. Yep, sure can. So
I could 3D print those little tags. Hey, there we go.
you sure can. Just make sure you make enough money for bail money in case anybody ever comes after you. Meg.
That was actually going to be my question, if you had seen a more, still a huge influx of fake Monet or a different kind, because I remember that one set I got that was totally fake, and then I saw that same, it was like a set that was supposed to be, I think, like an 80s one, and it was the kind that has, it's like gold tone, it had like bubbles, kind of I don't know, bubble cabochons, I don't know what they're actually called, but it was just so poorly made, and then I saw a million of them on solds after a while, like a lot of people that like bought like $200-300 fake Monet, and they did the same thing for Napier, like the same almost style, and I think another brand too. But I haven't seen it as much lately, so I was just seeing if there's like a new thing or they moved on to a
Well,
new
not to
brand.
give them a bad name, but I see a lot of that stuff go through on Whatnot. A
Yeah.
lot of it.
But that's, I
A
think that's a
lot
good
of
sign too, if you see all this rare, the same rare piece and solds all of a sudden, because like if you're like, I try to
Yep.
study every day too, and I'm like, okay, I've never even seen this before. Now all of a sudden there's 20 of them and they're all rare. Like, I don't think so.
Yep, that means Temu had a new edition. Yeah. Yeah, I think Catherine, I had some fakes at the same time. Catherine had some Monet fake, I think, at the exact same time. Like we all had a bunch of them come
I
through at
was
the same
so
time.
sad because I was so proud of myself that I recognized it and got it on Depop for $8, and I was gonna make $300, and I was like, oh, this is crap.
How many quantity did they have for sale?
Just one, it was
No,
one dude. I
Yeah.
mean, he bought
one.
it from someone else, I don't know, but like other
Yeah,
people across the
beware
country
of them.
obviously did because it was in the solds.
Beware of the rare antiques that there's listing 6 of them.
Quantity 6 available. Yeah.
So Nicole, that picture looks like they're clips, because you can kind of see the little clip coming up over the top. And in the description, it doesn't say whether they're pierced or clip.
But those are pretty common style, wouldn't you agree, Lynn? Those are pretty common style earrings for the 80s. I've had those a million
Yeah.
times, the flat one with the tassel or whatever.
Okay, thanks for checking.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to tell in some of those pictures whether they're a clip or not.
Yeah, and in the books, a lot of times they don't show backs of things.
No, I agree with that. That's irritating to me sometimes. So in my Monet adventures here, I like Monet too, and like old Monet is built really well. And I loved Lynn's glass or earrings she had the other day, because it just shows if she knew that those were some to look up or to charge the extra money for, because that's something we have to watch out for in sold comps with eBay, right? If somebody didn't know to ask enough money for it, it's going to have a sold comp of less than value. So something I look for if I'm going to like really look into whether I should charge up for a Monet piece. Lots of times they will have they're just substantially built, and they are like statement pieces. Like this one is a very nice statement piece from Monet. It's a nice multi-chain. The finish on Monet, I think, really stays pretty good compared to some of it in its time. Oftentimes the Monet signature is right there on the little clasp underneath. But finish is everything. If finish is bad, that really does diminish the value on those. But this one is one that's gotten me before, where it will sell for the more money. But there were so many of these pendant necklaces put out in the 70s that looked just like this. It had the Greek key, the snail chain, the whole 9 yards, but it's not Monet. and people list it as Monet because it looks exactly the same, but it's not. So there it is. It's signed underneath there. I have seen one similar to this knocked off in signed Monet. I've not felt one, but my guess is it's very lightweight and kind of crap. It's my official advice on that. You can tell. This is the set that Lynn was talking about, super popular. It's been sold recently for $125 with the cool little earrings. But
Carrie-
knowing what we know now, what would we have done, guys?
Carrie, you're
Sold
kind
them
of
earrings separate.
echoing. I don't know why.
It's Lynn.
Oh.
She likes, I don't know why it does that. I think it's just me. I think I irritate her sound system. But I would have split these earrings off. Because these earrings are these the exact earrings you had, Lynn? Close? You had the little ball
No.
ones. But these sell pretty good
the
too.
gold
So if
filigree.
that's right, you had the cool little ball ones. But anyway, I've sold these earrings for decent money too. So just look it up, make sure that you can't get, because that necklace by itself will bring about $100. So, and it is very plain. She's right. I have no idea. It's confusing to me why it brings so much money, but it does. I don't know that I've seen this set, but there's one in white I've seen and this blue one here, and very vibrant, cool. It says it's lucite, so basically it's like plastic thermoset type stuff, but that's a pretty good price on a little thermoset or plastic bracelet. And I saw one in a different color and it brought the same amount or close, so that's pretty cool. But I don't know that I've ever come across one. This one's neat. I don't think I've seen this one either. But if you see those big chunky dual-headed, this one says it's a bird. I don't really know what it is. I guess it's a bird. Kind of gnarly looking little bird. Big chunky
like a
double-headed
seahorse.
anything I look up.
I see a bird.
I don't really know. I wouldn't have thought bird right away, I guess, but
Looks like a turkey.
I don't really know, but
A
apparently,
horse.
yeah,
horse.
Bird
really
on the
know what it is.
bottom, but I don't know what's on top.
Well, whatever it is, apparently it's worth $100. So keep your eye open for those chunky dual-headed. KJL had a line of those, the dual-headed jewelry too. A lot of them did, I think. This one I have had. I think they have it in a different color too. I think they make it navy maybe. But it's a good, solid, chunky piece there. There's the signature. It was on auction, so actually I think you could have got a little bit more for it if you put it up for right now. Yeah, Catherine.
So I see a lot of people use the grippoi word with stones like this. Is that considered grippoi? I don't know how to always identify
So
that poured
I don't-
glass.
I don't think I would ever use grippoi.
I wouldn't
If
either.
you have a piece that's actually grippoi, you got a really nice piece. Because grippoi is a trademark name. It's a
Not a
company
style.
name.
I see it
It's
used
the
sometimes
company
with
name.
Monet, like it's poured glass, and I don't know how to
Yeah,
recognize
but
it.
people lie, so
Yeah.
they're
But
wrong.
Monet
I
never
totally
really
agree with
used
Lynn.
grippoi.
Poi
I would
actually
never.
made pieces for some higher end designers. I think Chanel and them type of pieces. So if you don't have a piece like that, it's probably not grippoi.
It's just glass.
You could
Okay.
say poured or molded, them type of words.
Not grippoi.
Cabochons.
Totally agree with Lynn on that one. Yep. It's not like the same as saying giveaway. It's not the same as a style. This one's one that I've seen, I've seen where I could snipe it pretty easily. It's a big chunky, it's called the gold nugget bracelet. And this is a example of being able to title this correctly to sell for the money that it's worth. I've had this one. I don't know that I got $100 for it, but I think I got 80-ish. So I mean, like, decent.
Can you move that gray bar, Carrie? Because we can't see the whole title.
If I do, it goes completely away here.
Oh.
I have to have it to run Zoom still a little anyway.
Oh, okay.
That's better.
Link runway. I couldn't see that part.
It's the Zoom bar. Yeah, so this one's one that you can snipe a lot of times because people don't realize it's worth it. Yeah, see, and I have to have it over here so I can scroll my page. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Hang on, let me hit the button and see if I can get rid of it. There we go. So this one, it actually will bring more on a good day. I think the pictures weren't the best showing it how cool it was. Although I think I kind of like that background. I don't know if it's, I don't know what that is. It's like, that's a very nice background. Anyway, and the title's not very good, but it's a good chunky one. I've had one similar to it, get pretty good money on it. So there's the signature on that. It's a nice big one. This one is one I've had, and it does come in different colors. And it's a good $100 bill every time you get it. And it's got this little Roman soldier imprinted on it. It's kind of hard to see, but it's got a little Roman guy on it. And it's a pretty good one to run across. I think Monet's one that's got a lot of good sniping capabilities because people don't realize that you can have a good piece. I don't think I've ever had this one, but it continuously brings good money. The little circus horse head. And there's the signature on it. And this one is a good one to find. The bamboo. Make sure if you get any necklaces in this type link, make sure to use the bamboo keywords. That's what people that like those are looking for. It's the bamboo link. I found this particular style though. I don't know if it's a style or the finish is usually poor when I find them. This one's another one I have not had. It's called the Princessa. I don't really know, but it's a book piece. Very nice. They showed it off well. I have not found it myself, but it's probably out there. This is another one I think that you could get if you, people not knowing that, hey, it's not just the basic chain. Using the word chainmail, Egyptian revival. I absolutely think that keywording our items correctly with a good statement Monet piece is really important. So 150, 750, not too shabby. This one, if you find the Cleopatra type of collar necklace, it probably even on a better day would do better just because this one was on auction, but I've seen them go for like 165, 170 before. This one would definitely get by me because I would see it and think, crap, I don't really know. But apparently it's like a statement Monet piece that I either haven't ran across or I probably sold for 20 bucks. So I don't know that I ran across it. If I did, I probably missed it. So that was a good one for me to see because I had not seen it before.
I like how they put gemstone in quotes, like not
Like, not really. We're lying. Yeah. This is a lariat rope necklace. These sell consistently very well with Monet. And even if I get the off-brand ones, they sell decent. I'm not really sure. I don't see people wearing these. I don't really know. But there's something about them. People like them. Maybe they're just not
They're
wearing them around.
intended to be tied in a easy knot or a simple knot right there.
Yeah, they loop them around in the front.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't ever see people wearing them, but they sell really good. So,
Hey, Carrie, I had a question on that bamboo one that you showed.
yep. Uh-huh.
I just randomly looked at bamboo and Monet, and there's a whole bunch of stuff there for 15 bucks.
I pulled up two of them because I wanted to see what I sold mine for. When you had $125 on there, I thought I've never sold mine for 125. I went back and looked to see what I sold mine for, and they were in the 30s. One was 39 and the other one was on sale for $30.
I feel like with Monet, a lot of times you do get like way bigger of a price if you have the set. I don't know if it's just my observation or not, but compared to other brands, maybe more so. Like
I
getting the
think-
set or part of the set will help boost it.
Yeah.
Well, then Carrie would never get that.
Nope, I'd be out of luck because those would have been sold separate in a heartbeat. But I think I agree that I probably wouldn't have been correct in price. Like I wouldn't have asked $124. I probably would have missed out.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have known, but I would have probably listed this, to be honest with you. I probably wouldn't even look, if I wouldn't have looked it up, I probably would have priced the necklace at 35 and the bracelet at 25. Probably what my
Well,
pricing
from
thought
now
would have
on,
been.
I'm going to try pricing higher.
No, because the necklace alone sold, mine sold for 39, so I think you really have to have the set.
Yeah, it
Or
might
I
have been a
would
set thing.
have, I guess I could have waited forever, but I didn't want to.
So Monet is not in business now, is that right, from what you said?
It's sold to Liz Claiborne, I think, right?
Right, that's what I'm thinking. So if it sold to Liz Claiborne, what was it, in the 90s? Then anything marked Monet would, I guess, be vintage. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I have one listed and I think I'm going to change it. I thought it was new, actually. I didn't really check to see how vintage it was. And it doesn't look vintage to me, but
Yeah, I was gonna say the newer, the ones at the end there, they look so bad that they don't look vintage.
Yeah, they're terrible quality too.
Yeah.
yeah.
They just
Was-
don't sell
I
quite
have
like
one that's
these.
that's good. I'm going to try to relist it, I think. Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, Liz
please-
Claiborne, Liz moved all of her production over to China when she bought it in 2000.
Maybe that's what happened. Because it's not great. The dragon scale, I don't think I've ever had this one either. But it looks pretty cool. And I think being able to label it as, like the dragon scale probably helps to sell this one, but I thought this was pretty good. Plus it was cool looking necklace. There's another one. So these, at least we know that 2 of us sold for this price. And like Lynn had said, it's marked in, it's got that and it's got that. So it's marked in 2 places. Here is the white version of what we saw earlier with the blue. So, and it sold, pretty high too. So I think that was probably my biggest surprise when I was doing this was those plastic ones.
There's one for sale right now, that white set that's 80, I think they're asking for it.
Ah, there's my bracelet. I've been looking and looking and looking for this. I put it up for auction for $89.99 and it did not get any bids. I know that's the necklace and the bracelet. So I just listed it again today at $89.99 with offer, allowing offers. I debated on where to start it at.
Yeah, it's always hard when you can only find it in a set because like how much value does a set bring? Like it's hard to tell that.
That's what got me in the financial bad place for a while back when I was like trying to like pay up for things. I'm like, ooh, I know good things now. And I was like, I can like snipe things. And I was like paying too much. And I was also judging it off the fact the sets were going for a lot. So that's how I unfortunately know that.
Do you think a keyword of a cross would be good for that?
Oh yeah, it does have little crosses.
Yeah, that's true. Pluses.
But we can look at it this way and say they're crosses. I don't know if they're
Yeah.
meant to be crosses, but they are.
Better keyword than plus.
Yeah, attentional math teachers.
You don't like my plus? Nobody'd be looking for plus. I want a plus bracelet.
I've had this one in different, the Monet Omega ones do pretty good too. But I will say in between those, which grosses me out, in between the articulations, there's always like makeup and stuff and it grosses me out. I hate it. But this is a set. It would have been US 122, which I think is probably fairly accurate. This is a neat one too. It's got the scalloped collar necklace. 140. This is the Bolero necklace, earrings, and bracelet. So this would be a price for all 3. But they do sell pretty fast and they sell pretty good. But using the word Bolero in the time, that was my
And
point
them
on that
are
one.
clips.
Yep. there. This one probably surprised me a little bit. I don't know that if I saw this laying on a table at an auction or at a sale that I would think, I bet this is $130.
Yeah, because Monet doesn't have a lot of good brooches. I only know of like maybe like 2 other ones. I've never seen that one.
They sell pretty good
That's
though. They just
pretty.
don't sell for a whole lot of money.
Here,
Yeah.
go back to that tag. I think it had Monet and YSL on it. Oh no, I see it now. When I saw it, I guess I was looking at it and I thought it was sideways. Never mind.
Wishful thinking, Suzanne.
Yes, indeed. Oh, those are pretty.
So these go with that necklace I showed earlier. The Roman
Oh,
figure
yes.
ones go with that necklace I showed earlier.
Like those. Yeah.
I bet they're heavy
They're pretty
too.
cool. But this would be a case of knowing what it is and knowing to charge the extra money
I
and using
think
the word
those Roman
Roman.
soldiers like across brands usually go well. Like boost the
I
value.
think you're right. Yeah, Papa Sai.
Thank you. I was just noticing that I don't see measurements, chain measurements or measurements of earrings like we do with the clothing, but I do see some scales once in a while. So you don't do that. You just say how big
You,
this is, 18
these
inch.
are other people's listings, not ours.
Yeah, these
You
aren't
can
mine.
show
These
the
are,
measurements. Or definitely
Okay.
tell it.
Thank
Either
you.
tell her to show it.
Maybe we could
I
see
sh-
one of you guys is that would show us what's the best way to do it if we run across it. Something.
yeah, I just lay mine on a ruler in the picture, like for earrings and stuff, because people do want to know how long they are. I agree with that.
Yeah.
So it's
And
backwards, but so this one I feel is legit. Like this one's got the YSL thing on it. And apparently these people really don't want those featherlight earrings. I just keep getting my decline notice. I'm like, I got it. Don't want it. Okay. But that's what I was talking about where it was in the link. That sold for $675 and it was a new seller. Not that that should matter, but sometimes it does. So I think that one was all legit, but this one's very cool. Of course, they used the naughty word here for poi, but I don't know if it showed here's the back.
See, Yves Saint Laurent is a high-end brand and may
Yes.
have had a collaboration with Griphoy to do stones. I don't think
That's
them
true. It might
are,
have been. Yeah.
but there's always that possibility with that brand.
Yes. So that is a good point because yeah, they could have had that license. I don't think those are either. But
Like on that page that they have in their description, does it say Griphoy on the down 2 more?
One sec, I'll look. Oh, it's on there.
I don't think so.
I don't see it.
It doesn't look like it is anyway. It's just a keyword,
Yeah.
help me sell my stuff for more type thing. So that's the one I think I was thinking of. But see, in my opinion, that's why they put YSL era because it's not one of the YSLs, but it's in that era. So maybe, but it's pretty cool anyway. And I see in lots of these people put this like, hey, they're to get in, which is true, they were, but that doesn't mean that this was one of them. But it's a pretty cool set anyway. It's a $535 set. I don't know. That word was
Catherine,
on the
you
page. I
saw-
saw the word
oh,
bijou.
But-
I saw the word bijou, but I didn't see the word griphoy. Is this one you're talking about, Catherine?
Another one looks like darn it, I just had it. Directives. That's what that one looks like. Directives.
Yep. When you showed that, yep. I would agree with that.
I'm looking, Catherine, in the book for that one to see what else it says about it.
This one's very cool. I've never had it myself, but it's also knowing that to put the collection name again. This is very nice. We should all be looking for this. Very nice. Here's one that's a serpent. Of course, we know serpents are like good to have anyway. And the other one's called it the dragon scale. So just take note that, it could be called either one or both.
I was going to say they
Careful.
look the same to me.
Yep, I think they are the same. That was the whole point. I think we can
Okay.
call it either one. I think serpent and dragon scale probably are, interchangeable, but this one, I don't know that I would have known right off the top of my head that it was $325 either. I would have known it was nice, but this is when you start getting into the ranges where you're like, okay, I could pay $50 for that necklace at a flea market and still make plenty of money. But we have to know that this is an item that's worth picking up for $50 if that's what it is, This is
Yeah,
the
I
one
would
was
have
thinking.
never guessed that.
I wouldn't have either. So this says it's a gold-plated Monet, and it's part of the stained glass collection. I think this is the one I was thinking of, Catherine, which would make me wrong.
Not all Monet gold colored stuff is gold plated, correct?
Almost none of it is, right,
Okay.
Lynn? There's not a lot of it that is.
I think a lot of it is.
We were taught before all of it was, but I never felt comfortable doing that, so I just put gold tone and it sold, so I just kept with gold tone.
And my
I
my
don't.
necklace doesn't say GP anywhere on it.
No, none of them do. It's just.
Wasn't it that they
It's
had like a
something
triple
about the.
plating, like a method where they made like the
Yeah,
finish,
I thought it was a
3
triple
layers, but
plate.
not gold plated. It's just
Yeah.
people just say that incorrectly, I think.
Yeah, I think they had that triple plating thing, but I don't know that it was actually gold plated, but there was some that was. So who am I to say? I don't know. This one's pretty cool. I don't think I've ever had this one either. That's pretty cool. That was nice. I've only ever had one that was marked sterling Monet. I've only ever had one of them. I'm sure there's lots more, but I've only ever had one. Those are kind of weird.
That's
So
not my
Catherine, I'm
favorite.
not seeing that Yves Saint Laurent in this book, so it must have been in another book.
So the charm bracelets, Monet
Yeah.
charm bracelets can sell really well. And it also depends on what charms are on there and what condition they're in. Lots of them have these bumpy, the bumpy textured, and those get really gross looking. Or
Yeah, I have
maybe
a
they're just
lion and it's seen some stuff. I'm just gonna throw it in a junk lot. It's really
Yeah, me too. So just so you know, some of them will sell in bad condition. And I have one that had some sterling charms on it, but I don't think they were original to the bracelet. So I did make sure that they knew that. I'm like, I don't think that this was actually in a Monet one, but some of these sell really good with the charms. There's another one of the Bolero ones for decent money.
Can I ask you about the charm bracelet again?
Yeah, there's more coming up is what I was trying to get to on here.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, go
Okay, because
ahead.
I have a couple.
Yes.
Well, mine has the double chain, but on the back, it has little hearts on the part of the chain. But I haven't seen any you've shown like that, so I was just curious.
Yeah, there's more
I was
coming up
going to
here
keep
'cause
it, but it's so heavy for my hand now that I may, if I could get $179 or anything close to that, 150, I think I might sell it.
There's a lot of interchangeable stuff going on with charm bracelets. So are all the pieces, like, is the chain marked Monet and the
Yes.
charms?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the charms aren't, but well, they could be on the side if I looked on the side of them. You think each charm is going to be marked?
I don't think
mine
so.
have been.
Oh, they are? Okay, maybe I didn't look at this one.
That doesn't mean they all are. I just happen to
Well,
have some that were.
These are the ones that have the little, what do you call it? The clip on them where you can clip on and off. That you showed that have you can take them on and take them off.
Did those have that?
Yeah. Lynn showed it in
Yes.
the presentation.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, on this
These
one?
didn't.
No.
Yeah.
The older ones don't.
No, but on
Right.
the one you showed, there were ones that that you could take on and off.
And
there's
yours
not on
hasn't,
here.
Suzanne?
I'm sorry?
Yours have those little clips?
Yes.
I would think they are then.
I would think so too, because I've never seen that on a charm bracelet before until you mentioned it. And then I noticed it.
Yeah, I definitely had another charm bracelet in here because, yeah, here's one that's just like loaded full of them. See, the ones I've had didn't have that little hook,
Oh,
or they
wait,
were
that
made
has
like
the heart.
this.
Do you see
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there we
that's
go.
what mine is.
Yep. Very cool. But some of them get really gnarly looking.
Oh, it does say heart link. Okay, so now
Yep.
I see that.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
in the book too. Oopsies. I don't know if you see
It
that.
does. Oh, thanks.
I can send you a picture of it later, but yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
I
then
can
that
sell
big
it.
On it with that book.
In
What'd
this
you
book.
say?
You're just on
They
it with
need a
that book.
I just had it next to
this
me and I was like,
book.
oh.
Oh, I
That
like
book is a good
that.
book. Yeah. My guess is that's not actual amber, but that's just my guess. Maybe it is. Probably not. Since I'm already sharing, I'll do my what sold this week because since I'm already in here. This is one of those old clamper bracelets. Wasn't in perfect condition, but it was old. Probably could have got a little more out of it. It sold like immediately for $250.
Gary, what do you take your pictures with, a camera or your phone?
Phone.
Phone.
I think that one's Goldfield. Sorry. Or is it just is it that much because of the age, or is it Goldfield?
It probably is, but I didn't test it, and I looked at the gold-filled ones. And they brought the same amount of money, so I just put the price at what a gold-filled one would be.
Okay, I did the
hope-
same thing for a watch fob chain thingy majiggy today too. So
Yeah, the age it probably is.
Yeah, them gold hinged bracelets like that are good sellers right now.
Yep, it sold like instantly. These earrings I had listed since December, so not like a fantastic selling one, but they weren't like mint either. So, but I got them in a bottom of a box, so somebody didn't know what they were. This ring sold pretty much instantaneously, but I think I think I was still in the right, fairly right. They do, I mean, I think I was somewhat in the ballpark on pricing, so maybe they were just looking for one. Little Germany Army ring.
Yeah, those are some nice pieces, Carrie.
This sold right away. Then somebody didn't pay and it sold again within 5 or 10 minutes. So I have a whole bunch of these Camrose and cross necklaces I'm still trying to trickle through because I didn't want to flood my own market because they're all pretty similar. They sell really fast. Here's another Camrose and cross dragonfly. Like I said, I'm just trickling my Camrose and cross in. And like this, it just looks so cheap. Like when you feel it, does not feel like good quality jewelry at all. It just doesn't.
Does the
Um,
Rose and Cross, do they have a tag, a logo?
It's signed JBK. I didn't take this one out because it was like still like plastered in the box, but I think this one had it. Yeah, it's JBK
JBK.
for Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy.
Oh, okay. Now I got it. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep. So this one wasn't like in great condition, and I sure as heck wasn't going to clean each individual flower. I can tell you that much. So, like it, I listed it December 27th. So for my store, it had been up a while, but I was not detailing each one of these little flowers either. So I still think it brought decent money for being a little enamel bracelet.
You know what? Show Papa Si the measurements down there. He can see how you do it. There you
That's
go.
just to show width. Yep. I keep a square in my box.
It's a
Like,
very small one. Where'd you buy that little baby square? Or is it small? It looks awfully small.
it's 11 by 11, I think.
Wow. It doesn't fit in your light box?
Yep. It stays in the corner.
There's
It knows
some
its
great
place.
little rulers at
Yes.
Teja. How do you pronounce it, Larry? Teja Trader?
Tejas Traders or
Yeah.
Trader.
And
Teja.
they're great.
TEJ.
I've had mine for a long time.
There's
It was
one right
cheap on the
here.
internet.
I have a
So
hot
this
one.
this little locket was kind of rough, and it had been listed since February 23rd. It was all right. There's another Camrose and Cross, just showing you that they just sell really fast and they sell really good. So this one sold in 2 days. So they just sell fast. Not like super good money, but they sell quick. That was all of mine today.
That was a
Very
great
good.
presentation. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, Papa Sai.
Well, you were talking about cleaning it, and I was thinking about when I was at the eye doctor, and they took the glasses and they dropped them down into a container. I don't know what was in it, but it had vibrations in it. And
Ultrasonic cleaners. Yep. It's the same thing for jewelry. Mhm.
Do you use something like that?
Very carefully. So I only use mine. Everybody probably has their own preference and it's fine. I only use mine if I'm gonna maybe throw it away because it's so gross that if it doesn't get clean, because it pops out stones, it can wear finish off, it do things to your jewelry that you don't want it to do. I pulled things out of there and been like, huh, well that wasn't good.
I
So
almost caught my house on fire a couple days ago because you're supposed to plug it into directly to the wall. And all of a sudden I'm cleaning some chains and I smell smoke and I see like a spark. Oh yeah. Yeah. So bye-bye. So be careful if you get one.
I'm just finding out about this stuff. I haven't pulled the trigger on anything yet.
Yeah,
I
it used
just
to
use
work
them
great.
very carefully. What about you, Lynn? Do you use them for everything or just I will throw a brooch in there if I'm like last ditch effort, otherwise it's going in the garbage. Sometimes I'll try it, but not with stones. It'll ruin stones.
What kind of solution do you put in there?
You can
I don't know.
put
I got it a long time ago.
you can put water with a drop of like dish soap, like Dawn dish soap, or you can do vinegar with water, mostly water. If I hardly ever use mine, but if I do, that's what I would use is
Because
a drop of dish soap.
because the potential to damage the item, is that right?
Yeah, it can scratch. Like if you put a couple pieces in there together, they can like it vibrates so fast that they can rub against each other and scratch them. It's just not even really worth, like Carrie said, unless you have something that you don't care what happens to it. Like me and my husband will throw our eyeglasses in there one at a time, and it gets in all the little nooks and crannies of your eyeglasses, but I don't put anything else in with it, so it might scratch the lens.
Well, let me ask this.
But I hardly ever put jewelry.
What about taking a piece of jewelry that is dirty, like we're talking about, and just drop it in some water with a little dish soap, and just let it sit there for an hour or two, and then try to clean it? Would that be good?
If you have rhinestones in it, I would not do that. The rhinestones have a gold foil or silver foil on the back, and that stuff peels off fairly easy. And water is detriment to them foil rhinestones.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
And some of that old glue was not good. So if there's glued pieces and it gets wet like that, it'll pop them. They'll just start falling out.
So you just don't
Mhm.
clean them mostly? You'd rather,
Pretty carefully.
I think we did a video on cleaning, did we not?
Mhm.
Or not in
Yeah, I
this
think so.
group?
Yeah, you did, and it's on
But
your channel.
there's like, okay, well, there's a lot of variations of what you can do, but like a toothbrush, just getting a toothbrush lightly damp, like spraying water on it or vinegar, or I use Windex once in a while, just lightly, and then dab it off on a paper towel and then just kind of scrub lightly in between the rhinestones and maybe take a paper towel and wipe the rhinestone tips off. So you don't soak it. The piece is not fully wet.
And I
The
also,
toothbrush will get all the dust out of it.
I think all of us have had it where we're rubbing a very nice brooch, maybe more than we should, and all of a sudden things start popping out of it too. That's never a good thing.
Oh yeah,
Mm,
especially the
yeah.
older pieces.
Mhm. I
I
had one last
found
night.
that,
Beautiful.
I found the Demon Slayer for verdigris finally. So 91% rubbing alcohol, but you have to be gentle and you don't have to rub very long at all. And it's great.
You use it straight on,
With a
like
Q-tip,
you
yeah. Yeah,
like
on
full
the
force.
yeah, I mean if it's covered in it, I'm tossing it because I hear Carrie's voice in my head saying, throw that shit away. Sorry, I don't know if we're still recording, but if it's like a little dot or just a few places and it's not directly on a rhinestone, yeah, I'm putting the Q-tip in there and then I'm getting that verdigris and I'm saying bye-bye and it's amazing. But it has to be the 91% proof.
I'm really glad that one item I found the other day didn't sell because I had thought I'd gotten it was just like I totally remember this piece because I was like, okay, well, I'll rub that off, no big deal. And I took alcohol, but I don't know what percentage it was. It could have been not enough. And I got it off. And then when it was sealed in the bag for my inventory, I saw it the other day going by it and it had like verdigris exploded. Like must have had a spore left or something, and it like had lots of little verdigris babies in there, and like, oh my gosh, it was like straight in the garbage can. I had to delist it and get it out of there, but thank goodness it didn't sell. I don't know what I would have done with it. Larry.
Yeah, I had a question about a piece. If you guys, I'd appreciate your input. Let me share my screen here real quick. I'm in general, lately I've been lotting all of the unsigned stuff together. I would typically put 4 or 5 bracelets or necklaces or whatever together. This one kind of stood out as something kind of cool, so I'm trying to sell it on its own. It's unsigned, but looking for ideas on how to describe this. These are all plastic. This is, these simulated turquoise are plastic, even though they've done a really good job. They've got imperfections and little deliberate cracking and other things. But how would you describe this, or would you sell this on its own?
Is that an eye in the middle?
Is what?
Is it an eye? It looks like an evil eye, but maybe it's just. Oh, it's not an eye. Never mind. I take that stuff.
They did a really good job on these stones. I mean, with see that little flaw right there, and there's little pocks and little things. But these are definitely warm to the touch. They're definitely plastic. But I just thought it
Since
looked.
it's not an eye anymore, then I wouldn't do it, or I would, if you really want to, I'd put for like 19.99 and probably know I'd probably have to take 12 or something. I don't know.
Do you guys
Yeah,
ever use
I'm at
the? Go ahead.
22, 24.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said, Lynn.
It said
I'm at 22 or 24.99.
Yeah, okay. And how would you describe this?
Chunky, the best one I can think of.
Would you use the term faux turquoise?
No.
Or just
that
blue
is a
stone?
big no-no.
Blue stone.
Blue. They're not stones, right? You said they're
Correct.
plastic.
Correct.
Blue beads,
Oh, blue beads, yeah.
beaded, layered statement. I know them guys don't, but I would probably put acrylic in the title just because I mean, you don't have to, but you could put it in item specifics.
Yeah.
But it's just gonna be up front. It's gonna let people know exactly what it is before they go any further.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Because I thought that was glass looking at it. So
I did too.
yeah, I agree with Lynn completely. But do not use the word faux turquoise ever.
Okay. All right. Well, I wish I had, these were glass and this is turquoise, but I'm not there in my buying yet, or at
You could
least
super stretch it and put Egyptian revival, because I still think it kind of looks like an eye from afar.
Yeah, I kept trying to think of what I thought that was. Yeah,
Yeah. Say Egyptian
And
revival
I
and chunky, Larry, go for it. See what happens.
I could see
and
that.
for some reason I keep seeing Asian. That's the first thing that pops in my
Oh,
head.
that too.
And
We
it
throw
was,
an Asian at the end
I
too.
could
and
see
those
that.
comments are related to this piece here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank
I
you.
call everything Egyptian revival when in doubt. So
Yeah.
There's no revival police, so
yeah, and if that doesn't work, then you think is it Victorian revival? Is it both?
And but then I'll get that nasty gram from some bitchy old jewelry lady, right?
Larry, I get nasty grams from them people all the time, and I just go, okay, no big
Welcome
deal.
to the jewelry world, Larry.
Okay.
I always
you.
want to write back, boy, I wish I had as much time on my hands as you do, but I don't. I copy and paste and say
Thank you so
so
much,
for your
smiley
feedback."
face.
Did you meet with your lady, Larry?
Yeah, I did. And that was what ended up happening was she had a box that was probably 1 foot cubed, right? So a cubic box of jewelry, and inside of there were many little plastic bags filled with all kinds of stuff. And there was definitely some Trifari, there was some Monet in there, and I made the same mistake I keep making, which is I assume that a higher percentage of it was actually signed than what was actually there. And she claimed that there was about 300 pieces in there. She was right. There was about more like 400. But by the time I went through it and pulled out all of the signed stuff, signed pieces that were about 50, but of those, some of that was Avon and Sarah Coventry, and I probably had 7 or 8 Trafaris or whatever. But then by the time I lotted it all together and I tried to process it all in once, right? It took me a couple of iterations, but I did it in 2 nights. I only ended up with about 100 sellable items or 100 sellable units that I paid $400 for. It's like,
They're
damn.
good sellable units. That's not so bad.
Well, it's things like this, or a lot of 8 earrings that are trees or flowers, or I've got a lot of flower brooches, that all unsigned. That I'll throw out there for $19 or $29 or whatever, and I'll eventually take 14 for them. But I'm just
So Larry, please see Catherine's comment. Carrie would have been in your head saying, Larry, it's in front of you. Why aren't you looking at it before you buy it? Because you could have dumped it out and the world was at your fingertips. So
But
please
doing this
see that.
100 listings, you'll be so annoyed. I think you won't do it again because you'll remember how annoying it was to do these
We've
listings.
all had those punishment buys, right?
Yep.
We've
Yeah,
all had
yeah.
those where we had,
Well,
yeah.
the kicker here is this is a woman that she claims that she's got a room filled with these buckets, and I trust that she does, because I see her new listings all the time on Facebook. She'll list
But
2 or
she's
3
felt at
items.
the top of even that bin. Why would you trust her? It sounds like she put it all at the top, the signed
She
ones,
sold
right?
some,
No,
yeah.
it was not just at the top. There were
Okay.
it was in a variety of places. And my first buy from her was awesome because she wanted like $10 a bag, and she had 2 filled sandwich bags to the brim, and probably a third of them were signed earrings. And a lot of them were rhinestone, right? And it's like, oh, you want $10 for this? Yeah, sure.
That's how the
So-
good con artists suck you in. They make you get
You know,
all
I
Yeah,
feel
it's
like
feeling that
I
way,
feel
but
like-
she,
bam.
yeah, but yeah, I know.
I
I'm
feel like
pretty
it's
sure
awful that I keep preaching that little old ladies lie and are conniving and see a sucker when they find one.
yeah.
Not that
Well-
you're the sucker. I'm saying they're a little opportunistic. Some of them are crafty business people.
And I
There
think
was a
we take
couple of
our
people.
time in that situation too. If they're trying to rush us, like to look through it, then there must be a problem, and like you're trying to
Yeah.
hide something.
And they often think their stuff is worth way more than it's worth.
Oh, well, I did point that out to her. She was claiming the how good this some of this these necklaces were, and I said they're unsigned. I'm gonna have to group these up in 10, and I'm gonna get $20 for them. And she was appalled at that statement, but
I don't answer them back when they talk. I just kind of nod and smile. And
Either. I always
Yeah.
go.
yeah.
why argue with someone? Because I mean, even what if they do really love it? Then you're just hurting their feelings, and that doesn't make for a good negotiation.
Well, I did tell her that this time around there was too many necklaces and not enough signed stuff. And so we'll see what comes back next time. But yeah, next time I'm dumping it all into a bucket, and I'm gonna scan it a lot closer. But anyway, this is I gotta move through this because I got about 2 weeks worth. I got about 100 sellable items out of this. So I'm in the middle of listing that. I'm mixing that in with hard goods that I'm getting from for garage sales. My garage sale stuff is great because I'm getting lots of $100 items every time I go out. But and I'm mixing that in with 20 minutes of labor to list something for $20. It's ugh.
But that you learn how to sell jewelry that way because you're forced to have to try to sell it. So that's a good thing ish.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Thanks for that, Meg.
You can put lipstick on a pig with the best of them then.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thanks.
I think that's how we all started out. We bought
That's
big
how
lots
I
of
know. That's
stuff.
how I'm like, that's how I learned to sell jewelry. Like, all right, let's make this stuff sell. I gotta get
Yeah.
my money back.
Yep. Oh, let me look at all these gold tone cat brooches and
Hey, those
flowers.
animal lots always sell well. They usually sell same day. Not for a lot, but you got animal porches there.
Lots. The key word there was lots.
Yeah, totally.
Not just an
Well, I'm even
individual
to the
cat
point where I'm
brooch.
lotting together Monet stuff, right?
Yeah.
I had to put together I had some 3 or 4 Monet chains that just wouldn't go. And so
Yeah, not all signs is good. It
I
has to
put
be.
like 5 of them together. They sold for, $30.
Yep. That's all right.
Anyway,
Again, the rope chains are better. I looked up one earlier. It was like in the 30s. I sold a rope chain for.
yeah.
So
I agree. The rope chains do sell better.
Well, I do
so I have-
realize that this is a learning curve and it does take time. And I'm probably going to make lots more mistakes, but
Yeah.
Oh, me too.
I had a couple different scenarios this past week too. I had the gold guy had his national rarities event, and he had 3 days of that, and he called me several times, and all of it was modern costume jewelry, and I nixed a bunch of it. Some old lady kept sending me pictures. Well, I have this pearl necklace and I have so I ended up not buying a whole lot. But then yesterday while we were on the call, I got a phone call from somebody I know from my town, and she said, her mom just passed away several months ago, so they were going through all her household of stuff. And she goes, we have our kitchen table full of jewelry. Do you want to come over and look at it? And I said, is it
Yes.
newer stuff? And this was an older lady. So I said, I'll be over. So I ended up with about 80 to 90 pieces. I haven't even gone through it yet, but 80 to 90 pieces. And it was all 50s, 60s, not like tons of rhinestone brooches, but there are 2 really nice ones. One really nice rhinestone pair of earrings. And then there's a watch fob, and there was about probably 6, 7, 8 different little heart lockets, gold filled ones, the
Those are
older
good.
ones. Yeah, them were all like probably $40, $50 lockets. And
Nice.
we could not come up with a price. Oh man, I did not want to throw the price out first because you don't know what these people are thinking. I didn't want to insult them, but I wanted them to throw the price out, and they kept saying, no, I really don't have any clue. And I had $200 in my mind thinking that's the max, but I know these guys, and I didn't want to go any less because I didn't want, I knew the lockets alone would have went for 40 or 50 a piece. And I ended up saying it. I said 200, and they thought about it for a little bit, and they finally agreed to it. So I did get a pretty good deal on that one. I was pretty happy with that.
It's
And
harder
then,
when you know people.
Yeah. What was the other one? Oh, this other one. There's some funny people out there. So there was a Facebook Marketplace deal, and this guy had a bunch of what he called JTV stuff. And I drove an hour. He said the price was firm at $250, and it was a big Rubbermaid full of the boxes. And I said, I had messaged him the night before saying, what brands are in there? And he goes, oh, I'm not at home, but off the top of my head, I remember Technobond. So I ended up looking Technobond up, and it's a pretty good brand. And then I got there and there was maybe 5 pieces in the whole Rubbermaid that were Technobond. And the rest was all sterling silver stones with stones, rings, lots of rings, lots of chains and pendants. And since it was all sterling silver and they were gemstones, but they were, not natural gemstones. I ended up buying the one Rubbermaid for 250, and he goes, I have more ready if you want to look through it. So I did, and I gave him another 250 for 2 more boxes full. And then that night he goes, I'm going through some more stuff that she had. This was all his mom's stuff. And there's a lot more Technobond in this one. And I said, well, send me some pictures. He goes, this one's going to be higher priced. He kept pulling out the receipts of what she paid for this stuff. And a lot of the receipts said $169 and etc. And he goes, this one's going to be a lot higher. And I'm thinking, there's no way I'm going to pay more than $500 for chains and pendants. So after he showed me pictures of it, it was pretty much the same thing. There was one batch of Technobond, which wasn't like big, substantial statement pieces, just little bracelets and things like that. So I told him, no, you can go list it. And he's like, okay, I'll just list it for 800. I'm like,
Okay.
no way. Have at it. He didn't sell this one to anybody else, so apparently he's not going to sell that one to anybody else for 800.
I'll
That was my
I'll get
fun.
Catherine and then Ashley or Nicole, sorry. I was just thinking about how she got called Ashley. And then my comment was on JTV also. So Catherine.
I'm just trying to identify this brooch. I looked in my Shriner book and it's not in there. That doesn't mean it's not it, but it's got the kind of crown, whatever settings. It
The
has
dome shape.
it has the little, what are those called? Hook and eye.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of see them down in the bottom.
And it's also got that cut of a stone that they used on the front.
Yeah.
That odd shaped, it's got a name, I can't think of it.
Always it makes me think of big fake diamonds is what those always remind me of. I don't remember the name either.
The ones
Isn't it
that
kind of
look kind of like Big X, you mean?
Isn't it asymmetrical? I thought it looked asymmetrical, like an asymmetrical cut,
Well,
but maybe not. Now
I
that I
don't
look at
think
it
so.
again, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
I might have to just put it on the Facebook group,
Yeah,
the identification and see if anybody knows for sure, but
yeah,
really
it looks like it could be with them layers like that
yeah.
and the
Nice,
hook and
whatever it
eye.
is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
nice.
and the prongs.
Okay. That was
Yep,
my
I
only
agree.
question.
Nicole, are you still around somewhere? Yeah.
Sorry, I was stuffing my face. I just wanted to show Larry those couple of lots that I had just sold. Like I've been in the process of desegregating my jewelry, like putting a piece of Trifari with a bunch of not like that one just sold last night, and the white tiny acrylic or the ones in the very front, those are Trifari. And like everything else is Japan or Hong Kong. But it sold. I mean, I just listed that.
I have that exact same white Trifari.
And you know what? By itself, you couldn't sell it for anything. But when I paired it up with all these ones that all came in other lots, there you are.
Yeah, I see.
So that's how I was able to get rid of some others, So I'm just saying, and then like the animal brooches,
Nice photos too.
thank you. Thank you very much.
So you're sprinkling a very just a 1 or 2 into a lot of 12 or plus of
Yeah.
signed stuff.
Like chess,
So
you have to sacrifice the pawn sometimes.
yeah. I
Can you
get
pull
it.
up, Carrie, can you pull up the animal, the first link
Yeah,
that
I saw that one too.
I wanted to show you, there's one Coro Um,
I can't have Zoom will let me here.
there
Does it?
was, oh, there you go. Yeah, so the little ladybug in the front, is it a ladybug or a beetle? That's Coro. And then there was like an Avon and a couple of Avons, but
You zoom in on the
yes, yes, you
because
keep
if you
going,
do that
you'll
and you've
see.
only got two of them that are signed and people know that you are zooming in on the signed ones, then you could reasonably determine that there's only two signed ones in here.
There's more than two because I've just learned that Avon, just because it doesn't say Avon and it has a little dot, it's still Avon. So there's some Avon pieces in there that just have the dot and not the word Avon. Um, but I'm just saying, like on their own, I couldn't, like it wouldn't have been worth it. But
Right.
and I took an offer of 62.50.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
awesome for that lot.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
really good for that lot. I agree.
Thank you,
Yeah,
thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm
same
just
here.
I'm a little concerned about
Oh, the bird is Elsie, Liz Claiborne, the mother of pearl peace dove bird in the top left. That was Liz Claiborne. So
I put out a lot once that had, I think it was a Trifari or something in it, and I deliberately did not zero in on the maker's mark because I wanted to give the illusion that more of these had other maker's marks,
Yeah, I
and
don't
I
want to
didn't
make them
even.
disappointed, and I want them to be
yeah, they're
really
gonna be
impressed by
pissed
them.
off. Like I clearly in my description, I clearly state which ones are signed and how many of the pieces are signed.
Okay, cool. Then that
Yeah,
makes sense. That makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, if
smart.
you want to in the title, sometimes if there's more than one, I'll put some signed.
Hmm.
But then in the description, I clearly state which are signed and who the maker
Got
is.
it.
Yeah.
And that makes tons of sense to sacrifice one or two named ones to sell the bigger lot.
Yeah, because they don't even have to be the really good named ones. Like even the Monet necklaces that you were talking about, you could
Yeah.
sacrifice those.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much time I've wasted, Larry, trying to figure out how to sell unsigned pieces and lot them up when in fact, if I just add a higher value signed piece with them, there they go out the door. So,
Yeah.
you know, this group, Carrie, I mean, I'm just learning so much. It's like gold,
Yeah.
literally.
Nope. And
Gold,
it's a
I see what
process.
they're called.
Huh?
I was just making a stupid joke. I was like, I see what you did there, gold.
Now, speaking of gold, I bought a piece, a little necklace that I showed you guys yesterday, I think it was, that little, I paid $15 for 2 grams worth of, well, you called it, Lynn, staple chain link. Anyway, put it up for auction, sold for $99, paid $15 for it.
Good job. Oh, the
we don't talk a
snail.
lot about the precious gold in the finds, but boy, there's definitely some money to be found in the gold and silver in the bottom of the boxes.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of that lot from the JTV, there was one 14-karat gold chain in there. It's valued at 157. So that helped pay for that $500
Yeah.
lot. Plus there was a $20 bill in the bottom of one of the little containers. So that was nice.
It's a nice tip.
Yeah.
Audrey.
JTV reminded me that someone actually gave me a bunch of, I guess their mother was making jewelry or something, but it's a bunch of loose gemstones and cases. And, I don't know anything about gemstones. I kind of want to be sure that what I'm looking at actually isn't valuable. I guess she bought the stuff from JTV in lots 15 years ago, something like that. And I just want to put them all up, as one single lot in their little cases or whatever. But do you guys use like a gem app to identify stuff or just?
I do. I use rock identifier, but it's not always accurate. You've got to, sorry, you kind of have to have an idea of what you think it is, and then you
Right.
go and use that and verify. Not, it's not still not 100%, but
Right.
then if you have the presidium, that's another identifier. At least the
No,
Presidium's going to tell you if it's glass or if it's a stone. At least you
right.
know.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I almost
my
thought about
assumption
that
is,
this
go ahead.
morning. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Getting a Presidium?
Almost, no, I have one. It's still sitting in the box for like 2 years now. But I had a unmarked, it had green balls on it, and it's either glass or I think it was probably jade, the cheap bright green jade or whatever. But am I sure
Mm,
it was jade and not glass? No, not sure. So I sold it as green stone, and then I put could be glass. I think it's probably jade, but I don't know. So I'm selling it as glass on the description, and it sold in 5 minutes.
mm.
But it sold for $70. So
Yeah, I got some bracelets too, but I'm not sure whether they're jade or glass. So, okay, down a rabbit hole I go. Thanks, guys.
so if you would ask me even 5 months ago about JTV stuff, I'd be like, yeah, I'm never touching that stuff, right? So I had found that lady that I don't know, I found her, maybe eBay, and she was selling me some vintage stuff, and it was pretty good. I think her eyesight may not be great because like things like Boucher or things that like the markings aren't super clear, like she had a mazer in there, like she just was missing stuff, I think. I don't really know if she just doesn't see it well or what, but I found her through there, and then she said that guy had like 90 boxes full of jewelry in his mom's garage that had never been opened, and she was gonna buy it and want to know if I wanted to see it all first. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. So I bought a lot of the JTV stuff, kind of not super excited about or whatever. That stuff sells, it does not sell real high, most of it, right? It's not
Mhm.
home runs per se, but they sell so fast. Like there's a huge portion of people out there that's buying this crap, right? Like for me, it's not for me. Like I don't see the value in it, but other people
Yeah.
must because I'm selling it so quickly. And I kind of told her off after I got it because I was like, this stuff
Mm.
is like cheap crap. Like who wants this stuff, right? And it sells so fast and people like it. Like they get it and they're all raving about it. I'm like, so my perception is just maybe not the same as I don't really know. So
Yeah.
then I called her back. I'm like, hey, did you get rid of that stuff? She's like, no. So then I
Mm.
told her, make me a lot, but I only want colored gemstones. So now I have just colored gemstone stuff. And then this lot that she sent me last night had like a lot of like those, what do they call them? I think they're called bolo, the pull tie type bracelets. I don't remember what the hell you call them. I always call them slip knot bracelets, but that's not right. They're gemstones, but they're like the pull to adjust them. They're adjustable. Those
Gliders.
don't sell. Yeah, and those don't sell very good for me at all, ever. Like I end up having to practically give them away. And then the single earrings, like the plain just stone earrings, like those are hard for me to sell too. So I told her, I said, well, I like this lot, but I don't like, and she goes, well, I'll just trade those out for whatever you want. She's like, there's 90 boxes of it. We can trade it all out. And I'm like, so since she started letting me be pickier with it, because like the big clampers to me look like acrylic crap, but I guess they are gemstones. They're just not
Mm.
like high quality. They're from the JTV or whatever. Like those sell for like $60 a piece. Well,
Yeah.
that's all right. And they sell so quickly. So she's selling them to me at $3.40 per item in each lot that she sells me. And with me being able to be picky, like saying I want the clampers, I only want colored gemstones, I don't want any clear. With her letting me be picky about it, like at $3.50, it's
Yeah.
kind of not bad. And then I sent some of it in the first lot that was just real plain that said 925 and stuff on it. I took it to my gold guy and he bought all of it and all tested perfectly. So I do think the JTV stuff is really sterling. I mean, I do think it's really what they say
Yeah.
it is. I took like 3 or 4 different pieces in that I wasn't trying to sell them. I'm just like, can you test this? Because like, I don't know if it feels not great. It
Yeah.
all tested perfectly. So I do think it's real. And I don't
Yeah.
know. There are people out there that buy it.
I just think
So
it would suck if I put it in a lot, sold it for $100, and there was like, I don't know, real Alexandrite in there or something. I'd be pissed, but I wouldn't know. So,
I wouldn't
Well,
know either.
as you were talking about that, I'm looking up JTV jewelry in general, and there's 2 rings, JTV HSN size 6 1/4 cocktail rings. There's 2, they look like they're used even. One with a blue stone, one with a purple stone. 2 rings in one lot sold for $150 on bid. And then one, looks like the same one actually sold for $150 again, maybe it's just duplicate listing. So 150 for 2 rings. I just listed a couple rings a little bit ago for $39.99, thinking these aren't going to sell that well.
It depends on what they're signed. So like I've gone down this JTV rabbit hole with all these pieces I've been getting from this lady, right? Never a rabbit hole I ever wanted to be in, but just trying to learn about it. So some of them are like, some are STS, some are the Karis, some are, and it depends on what level they are. So most of mine have been selling in the mid-20s. I've been listing them at like 30 something. They sell in the mid-20s really quickly. I don't love selling stuff for that, but they're fast. So there are a few though of the rings that will sell for more, for sure. But there's like all these weird nuances, just like anything else, I guess. But
Okay, so here's the brand that I have is called YGI, and there's 2 rings side by side. One sold for 20, one sold for $39.99. So it's a guessing game.
it is, but they sell pretty quickly. So like as much as I would prefer to sell good vintage jewelry, I mean, let's face it, a lot of our brooches sell for 25 bucks or 30 bucks, right? They do. And they don't sell as quickly as this stuff does. Like this stuff flew off the shelf for me. And I kind of told this lady off when I got it. Not badly, but I'm like, how am I ever going to make my money back out of this junk? I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then I had to call her back and be like, so you remember that junk that I didn't like? Do you have any more of it?
Can I have more?
And I'm like, she's like, sure, I still have all the boxes. I'm like, okay, well, and she's like, I'll sell all any of it that you want for $2 or for $3.40. Because she had to make sure because she had to buy it or whatever. I'm like, that's fine. And then she's like, I'm fine letting you just have the colored stuff. No big deal. And some of the jankiest stuff in there was the stuff that was selling for $50, $60. Like stupid, it looked like knockoff Betsy Johnson, like panbear earrings and stuff. Like just stuff I would never think of purchasing, but it's selling faster than anything else in my store.
So you're telling me I'll probably be calling this guy back going, okay, I'll take the rest.
But I was more commiserating in the fact, Lynn, that I totally see where you were coming from, because I felt the same way. And I was like, there's no way I want to sell this stuff. And then I thought people are going to give me bad reviews because they're getting, it's lightweight, it's crap. And they're all like, oh, it's exactly what I wanted. Okay, well, this is fantastic.
Meg has her hand up. Sorry.
And I was happy that we sold, that it tested well, right? Because I was afraid, like, is this stuff fake? Like, I didn't know because it all says China on it. It sold pretty good, so it tested fine. So, Meg.
Well, by the time I get
I was just gonna agree that, like,
listed,
I was like, oh my God, let me test this stuff. Like, cause I got some of it was JTV, some of it was HSN, some of it was other stuff or whatever. But I'm just like, this isn't real silver. Oh my God. I'm like Googling and like, does JTV sell fake silver and all this stuff? I'm like, no, it's real. And like, yeah, rave reviews. I sent Lynn yesterday, like this lady even did a whole photo shoot of her new bracelet and put it on my feedback. I was like, oh, okay. Glad we like this cheap crap. That's cool. But some of it's not crap. Like the opal ones sell really good that I have and everything. But
some of it's just our expectations for what we're used to. And, you know, we're used to a certain weight of jewelry. We're used to the weight determines how good it is in vintage jewelry. So like I said, I just think sometimes like I don't love, like I feel like I'm buying Temu stuff because that's kind of what it feels like when I get it. But there's people really like it. And like I said, I'm pretty confident that it's not fake, you know, like the 925 stuff's really silver.
I did test it. I tested one because I was curious too. Is this all going to be the fake China? And it tested sterling.
Yeah, I took them in and they gunned it or whatever. So I took several different pieces in that were signed by different makers from the JTV or whatever. And they tested every single one of them with the gun, and they all tested. She's like, they test good sterling. Like
I
I
think
would
so.
buy
The
it all the
opals
time.
were real opal, and then I got to like another box and it had like the actual paperwork. I'm like, oh, these are actually opal. Alrighty then.
It's
I
lab
guess.
created. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all
But
lab
And I have
created.
one
But
more thing too. I was gonna share like I'll put in the chat just because I thought it was it was an emotional roller coaster of a sale within like 2 days. It was like I was so excited and pleased with myself because I saw it in a lot of like just on Facebook Marketplace and someone just put Avon pin lot, and I knew it from studying or not studying, but just like seeing it in the Avon book. And then I was all excited, and then I get there, and I was like, okay, I remembered to myself to like check it out, make sure it had a back on it, and I was like, yeah, it had a back, get home, whatever, and I realized it's missing the one of the pearls. I was like, oh my God, how did I look at the back and not look at the bottom? And I was so sad. And I was like, oh, and then I looked at the prices, and I'm like, okay, the average like sold price at the time in the last 90 days was 68. The average active one was 218. So I undercut the lowest sold by like 20 bucks, listing it at $100, even like that. And I sold it yesterday, like in a day, for 80 bucks. So woohoo!
Hmm.
And it's going to Luxembourg. It's international. It's not coming back. And I actually got higher price than like I beat the middle price up or whatever on it.
You know what? I think that's a common issue because every time I found one of these stupid horses, it's missing one of those.
Mm.
So I think it must. What is that carving right there? What does that
Oh, it's
say?
LT. It's Elizabeth Taylor's daughter, I think.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yep.
But
Cool.
yeah, it's just how crazy, like, to think that people are overpricing them that much. I'm like, what are these people doing? Like, why would you price your there's a bunch of them at like $400. I'm like, the average price is 68, now up to 72 because of my $80 sale. But still, like, that's insane. Why would you price it at $400? Thank you though. Thank you to all you crazy people because I got a sale.
That's right. That happens to me a lot. That's where people get in trouble with the Google Lens, they'll Google Lens it and be like, "Oh, there's so many listed at $300." Then you realize none have sold for over 50. Yeah.
Yeah, that it actually was the actual start of my emotional roller coaster. I'm like, yay, I recognize it. And I was like, yay, sold for $200 per Google Lens. Oh, wait, let me comp it. Oh, okay. Well, it's so good. And then, yeah, it was up and down for 2 days.
And I will fully admit, Meg, I have completely bought a good piece, looked it over thoroughly, and then got home and something glaringly obvious, like the rhinestone in the middle of the front, is
It was
missing.
in my hand. It was
Totally
in
done.
my hand.
Yep. Been there, done that too.
I've done it. Or
And
like,
then I
oh, there's
messed up
no
again and I bought a
clasp.
book at a rummage sale and then I didn't look at the back of the book. What's wrong with me? Oh my God, I had mold on the back cover. Thank God it was like a fill a bag sale, so it was like just part of a bag price. It was like $2. So I was like, oh my God, yeah.